competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Allo Fiber. At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. DirecTV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, I'm Steve Carper for O Street Carpet. For Christmas, we're doing everything possible to help you spruce up your home without making a dent in your holiday budget. If you need new wood flooring, new carpet, ceramic tile, vinyl, area rugs, or custom blinds, you want to shop at O Street Carpet. We offer 12-month same-as-cash financing, Lincoln's best selection in stock, free in-home measuring, and we'll install it right away. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Are you familiar with everything the Lincoln Children's Museum offers? Camps, field trips, and game day playdates are just a few of the extraordinary programs provided by the Lincoln Children's Museum. When you spend a day with your family at the Lincoln Children's Museum, your child's mind can explore while enjoying the many interactive exhibits they have, while keeping admission prices extremely affordable. Stop by the Lincoln Children's Museum today in downtown Lincoln, or visit them online for more information at lincolnchildrensmuseum.org.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Here at Aspen Builders, our company is building more homes today than I thought we would ever build.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
You know, I am just shocked at how strong our market is here in Lincoln and at Aspen Builders. We're probably helping people right now more than ever get into a new home. We've been able to find pieces of ground we can develop affordably and keep our lot prices down a little bit. I think with our volume discounts and our office staff, 35 years of experience, we figure out a plan that's going to work great for you. We make it perfect. We make it fit your price range. All of this is part of the reason we're so busy.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Welcome to The Drive with Aaron Davis and Nick Sainert. former football national champion, speaker, and author Aaron Davis.
Pain is a teacher if you use it. And the lessons in the carnage of pain sometimes are elusive. They hide, they're stealth. The work is finding the lessons through the pain. There's always a message in the mess. Depends on if we want to get dirty and look for it.
Nick Sainert, driving left side is Boyer, picks up his dribble, looking for some help, decides to go up strong with it, and the layup will rattle home. Jack Riley picks the pocket of BJ Bradford up the floor to Jack Hostrider. Watch out! Lafisi in the lane, kicks it out. 3-ball, Townsley, right wing, it's good!
Sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome. It is Monday on The Drive, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert with you as usual. No AD today as he is in Galveston, Texas. He flies back to Nebraska today, and he'll be here the rest of the week. Filling in for AD on a Monday is Jake Bachhoven. Bach, happy Monday, my friend. How was the weekend?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good. It was fun to kind of take the bye weekend, watch a lot of football there on Saturday, and of course, the big Husker basketball victory. I know we'll get to that as well. But, yeah, I mean, it's nice when your teams win. You feel pretty good. My Cardinals set a record for completions in a game. They didn't win, but set a new record for NFL completions in a game. So I'll take that as a win.
How did you become a Cardinals fan? I don't know if I've ever known this about you.
So actually, there weren't a whole lot of guys named Jake that were very good in, as far as pro athletes. Jake Plummer was one of them, the quarterback for the Cardinals at the time. It's kind of weird because I liked the real truth of the matter is I liked the Iowa State Cyclones bird.
I'm sure you did.
And so, because my dad had like the set of like Big 8, like nostalgia cans or whatever. So I liked all those. And so my mom was like, "Oh, he likes the Redbird team." So she got me Arizona like Phoenix Cardinals stuff at the time, and that's pretty much how it happened. And I was like, "Oh yeah, well sure, they got Jake, they got a Jake, absolutely." So I became a Cardinals fan. Worst decision I ever made.
Well, and they're deciding whether or not they want to move on from Kyler Murray full time or what the situation is there. As always, 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln Hotline, the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo Cable Channel 961. All places for you guys to get in touch with us. You can always reach out to Jake or Bach and I on Twitter as well. We have so much to get to throughout the course of the next hour and 45, hour and 50 minutes or so. We are going to talk, obviously, college football weekend. There was a lot of interesting finishes there. Obviously, the game down in Tuscaloosa is one that's going to stick out to us a lot. Potentially what happened in Eugene with the beatdown of Oregon against Minnesota. There was a lot. There's a lot. And there's a lot of teams that are fighting for those 12 playoff berths that we'll talk about here in the next minute or so. But also huge win for Nebraska basketball up in the Sanford Pentagon in a start that was not that encouraging. But then Nebraska, I think, showed us once again the way they're going to need to play and what they're going to need to do, especially offensively, if they want to have success this season. And then also we'll dive into a couple of things Nebraska Penn State related. We will hear from Matt Rule today, obviously at 11:30 a.m. Talking and previewing Nebraska versus Penn State. We do know it's a 6 p.m. kickoff on NBC. Feels strange that they chose this game this weekend for an NBC game, Bach, but it's the cards we were dealt with. And Nebraska's going to get back to Lincoln early Sunday morning with a quick turnaround against Iowa the next weekend.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, they might not have had the best choices in the Big Ten this week. I mean, so you get brand on brand, Nebraska and Penn State. So I like that. Interesting enough, and another chance for a national opportunity for Nebraska. So it just kind of shows you how far the brand names of both them and Penn State are going here. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting week. Less interesting than maybe it could have been before the extension for Matt Rule. I think that would have been very interesting coming into this. Still a little bit of that maybe at play, but for the most part, it's going to be about football this week.
I'm glad you said that, because does it feel like it's obviously we think that it's done, right? Like the extension's done, it's been signed. But I've also said that, and this isn't just a Nebraska Matt Rule conversation, this is just the way that college programs operate, is if you are paying $50 million for your old coach to not coach, you don't get scared by an additional $8 million of a buyout if you have to pay it, right? Like, it's like, I think programs will talk themselves into getting whichever guy they want for whichever price tag it is. Now, the buyout certainly helps Nebraska, right, with some financial stability and security with Matt Rule. But ultimately, Buck, like, if Penn State wants a 9-3, if Nebraska is able to beat Penn State and Iowa, Matt Rule is going to be very attractive to Penn State. That's just the honest truth of it all. Now, does he go? No, and we have to take what he says, and we have to use his word, and we have to hold him to it. If that he's happy here and he wants and he signed the extension, and everybody thinks that that's the nail in the coffin, and that's fine. But also, if there's one thing we know about college football programs and athletic departments, is that just a slightly larger price tag doesn't scare them away.
Yeah, but hopefully it makes them, like, they've got to be 100% sure that Matt Rule's the guy.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where it's going to be very interesting. But I mean, the other thing is, as with Nebraska's coaching searches that we've been in the past, when you fire somebody, you immediately think, hey, maybe we can get Nick Saban or Urban Meyer, and you're finding out that's becoming more difficult, right?
Yeah.
To get those big dream names. And so all these schools, I think, are kind of settling into, hey, we're gonna have to pick the best out of the litter. I mean, out of the bunch, it's not going to be an obvious choice. And so, I mean, I would definitely put Matt Rule in that categories, even if he does go 9-3. So it is at least an additional thought. But I mean, I still go back to when Nebraska fired Scott Frost a week early and just paid $7 million more.
Exactly.
I stopped thinking about UNL's money or Nebraska's money after that day, because it's just, okay, they're operating on a different field than what I thought they were.
I just don't think the people in those offices and in those conversations view it as an obstacle. I just don't think so. I think it really set things off with the Jimbo Fisher situation, right? And I think that there's also something to be said about we thought that maybe through rev sharing and through all the other uncertainties in college football that we'd see athletic departments really start to trim down some of the fat of the buyouts, right? And figure out a way to maybe not wholesale reset the market, but at least start to see it come down. To this point, through this offseason as well, we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen that coaches and agents still have all the leverage in these conversations. And in all seriousness, I mean, I don't know now if we'll ever get to a spot to where the coaches' buyouts won't be notable when they get fired, right? Unless it's, later into their career. But most notably, I mean, you look at it once again, it's the Jimbo Fisher was the largest, but then you look at Brian Kelly's, and that wasn't anything for LSU to sweat over. You look at James Franklin, that wasn't anything for Penn State to sweat over. And I think that in those rooms and in those conversations, those powers that be all gather around and say, okay, how bad do we want this? Because if we want it bad, the guy we want, or the next person that we want to tab as the head coach of our institution and our football program, it's going to cost an even larger paycheck to go and get that person. And they sit there and they juggle with this decision between, let's just spend the money, we'll worry about the rest later, we get the guy we want, or maybe we settle. And I think in those conversations, nobody ever wants to settle, and they think that they're just one hire away from becoming the next powerhouse program in college football. And so, and once again, I'll reiterate this. I believe Matt Rule's the head coach in 2026, and for a very long time, because also I don't think Penn State will be able to agree at the top that Matt Rule is the surefire selection. But in all making this full circle block, going back to the NBC night game, it's crazy for us not to consider that there's additional storylines.
Yeah, there is. And then if you paid any attention to it, college football broadcast, I mean, they'll lean right into it.
Absolutely.
Any game. I mean, I thought that was funny. The Iowa, has had 3 losses, their highest ranked 3-loss team this past weekend, and all they talked about was college football implications for that, playoff implications for that game. Any way you can to heighten the broadcast, and so that's been playoff based more than anything. But here, obviously, there's no playoffs involved, and so I think that will be part of the conversation. It'll be interesting. There will be people in the building wearing Penn State colors that think Matt Rule's the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an overwhelming majority of them. And I think that the interesting part is, again, to what you were saying, these numbers might not be something that the universities and their donors as a whole can't come together on, but are they going to come together on the right guy, right? I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we need $15 million extra dollars. We'll get it from, these 3 donors or whatever. Well, you better have those 3 donors all agreeing that this is worth their time and worth the money. So, and again, it's just an example. It could be different than that, but that's what I think is interesting. And we'll see. I mean, it would be a big statement for Matt Rule to go in there and get a win. I think that would, I think maybe bring his name back into the conversation, if you will, a little bit.
Sure. It would just be a massive win for Nebraska. Like, I think let's also remember this. Like, Nebraska, the last couple of chances that they've had on national television, it's been Michigan is one of them, right? Michigan was not a great game. You lost by 3, right? And I don't think you want to really invest into quality losses into that narrative. So you lost by 3 there. You lost by a possession against USC as well. This is another chance on NBC, 6 p.m. Central Time kickoff, 7 p.m. prime time on the East Coast. This is another chance to show that you have the right guy and that you are going in the right direction. This is, once again, you talked about the money and pieces of it. In 2024, Penn State made $182 million as an athletic department. That was their total amount of revenue, right? They will be just fine with whichever direction they go in. And more than likely, if they have to buy out a coach, then they'll take care of whatever's needed.
It's interesting the way you frame that too, because I still can't wrap my head around as like an opportunity for Nebraska here. I can't really wrap my head around the spread.
Yeah,
it came out at 10.5 right now. I think it's at 9.5 for Penn State as favorites. And on the opposite, I'm thinking, because you're talking about it as an opportunity for Nebraska to win, but yet, I mean, how do we categorize this game is going to be so interesting over the long period of time, because if Nebraska loses, and then you're going to have people step in and say, well, they were a multi-score underdog in this game. Maybe, so maybe that should be expected. On the reverse side, you're thinking this is a 4-6, one Big Ten win. I mean, this should be an opportunity. You call it an opportunity for Nebraska, but it's almost like they really can't lose this game and keep the momentum of what this season is. And maybe it's not what you expected it to be, but like you said, close losses to Michigan and USC, forgivable. Minnesota, that's not going to be forgivable. No. People are always going to, and deservedly so, that's going to be kind of the black eye in the season, but you don't want another one. And I think you could potentially get another one here, despite being 9.5-point underdog as we speak.
Is it easy for Nebraska fans, myself included in this, to look at this game and envision, okay, you know what? If Nebraska loses to Penn State, they lost to a notable name. This isn't you losing to a Minnesota, an Illinois, a Rutgers like they did a couple of years ago under previous regimes. UCLA, perhaps even last year when they came into Lincoln and beat you. Is it easy to get caught up in, well, this is Penn State, this is the program, they still have talent even though they weren't winning? Or is it more so of just, no, you need to take it for what it is on the surface, and Penn State just got their first Big Ten win on the road in East Lansing against Michigan State 28-10. But this is the same Penn State team that lost at home to Northwestern. They lost on the road at Iowa. They got killed by Ohio State on the road. They lost to UCLA on the road. They got killed by Oregon. Is this? I mean, do you just take it what it is, and not necessarily telling each other how to be fans, but how we assess this game, I think, is important, because do you go into their history and what we viewed Penn State maybe back in August before all the drama, or do you clearly just simply take it on the surface as this is a 1-6 team in the conference, this is a 4-6 team overall, and Nebraska's better team than they are on paper?
I mean, I got to view, again, the spread throws me off because I was viewing it kind of to the latter version that you're saying. I mean, this is as gettable as you're going to get a chance at Penn State. I mean, and to your point earlier, they've lost to UCLA and Northwestern. You beat UCLA Northwestern. This should be one that you should be able to win.
Transitive properties.
That's right. That always works in sports, right? But still, this, I mean, I think I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but you really are somewhat shaping the narrative of how the season went.
I agree.
This week against Penn State, a little bit more, can be against Iowa too, but that's the rivalry. I mean, I don't know. I almost feel like a loss to Iowa is more forgivable at this point than Penn State. So this is your chance to go out and improve on that 7-win season last year. Get to that 8th win with a little bit of house money with 2 games left over against Iowa and your bowl game to improve on that. You lose it, all of a sudden, you're going to get the Penn State. I mean, Matt Rule will be a kind of a joke from Penn State, and I'm not saying that as a person. I'm saying just for the week, right? It's going to be kind of a joke that people can throw out as, I can't believe it's considered at one point, all that sort of stuff. And then you're in, once you get to kind of 4-loss territory, Iowa there, battling 5. Not that they haven't already achieved minimal success of getting to a bowl game. I'm not saying it will be a complete disaster, but I mean, there's a big difference between 9-3 and 7-5. There's even a big difference in my mind between 8-4 and 7-5, especially dropping this one on the road to Penn State.
And so obviously Nebraska, big opportunities ahead the next 2 weeks with Penn State and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa lost on the road at USC over the weekend, which I know that was a game Bach was extremely excited about to see unfold. One last thing, we'll dive in much more into Penn State, Nebraska, the actual game, the X's and O's of it in the 10 o'clock hour. But I mean, just in addition to that, you have a chance motivation wise for Nebraska. You have a chance to knock Penn State out of the chances of going to a bowl game. Penn State needs to win their next 2 games, Nebraska and Rutgers, to achieve bowl game status, if you will, and that 6-6 mark. Nebraska wins this weekend. It's because of them that Penn State doesn't have a chance. They don't have anything to play for other than the last week of the season against Rutgers. There is so many opportunities here for Nebraska to really assert themselves in terms of the narrative of it, even though Penn State's not a nationally respected team right now. Historically, they are, sure. But right now, they're not, because they are 4-6 overall and 1-6 in the conference. They beat down a bad Michigan State team earlier this weekend. It's just, there's a lot here. I hope Nebraska doesn't get wrapped up in the storylines. And think about this, Bach. We've said all of this without even communicating the fact that TJ Lateef is still the starting quarterback. We have to remember that about Nebraska. I think, though, honestly, that doesn't change my expectation for what I expect Nebraska or hope that Nebraska can accomplish Saturday night.
No, I almost, I don't want to say it expands it, but it doesn't. It really doesn't change it. You want to, again, the question out there, and maybe the way the spread is where it is TJ Lateef closer to the USC versus the UCLA version? And again, they didn't ask him to do too much against UCLA, and the game plan kind of worked out that way, that, you built up the lead, protected afterwards. And so, it definitely will be a closer test. I don't want to in any way frame this as in Nebraska should be up by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. This is going to be a fight.
Oh, sure.
I don't think in any other way than that. I mean, this is a team that does still have the talent. Nebraska might have an all-American running back, and he might be the 3rd best running back out there on the field. I mean, that's how talented Penn State is. So it is definitely going to be a fight. But I mean, a lot to kind of be determined here. But Lateef, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't necessarily know if I think it's like much better than having Raiola, but right now, it's just different, right? It's the legs and a little bit different of attack. But man, if they can, I mean, the pairing with Emmett Johnson in round 1 was fantastic.
When you look at the statistics rushing wise for Nebraska and Penn State's defense, this does match up. I think a lot of this, whether Nebraska wins or loses, it's going to become it's going to be looked at as the Black Shirts rush defense. And I think that's a big part of it, right? I think if you force Ethan Grunkmeyer, the backup quarterback who's taken over for Drew Aller, which there's a point that we're not talking about. Penn State's also on their backup quarterback, right? But if you can force him to stand in the pocket and throw the ball, then I think you're going to be a little bit better. If you allow Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, though, to run all day long, then that's where you really will be in some trouble. Now, conversely, when Nebraska's on offense, Penn State gives up about 150 yards on the ground a game. They're outside the top 70 in the country in rushing defense in not only the Big Ten, but also the country. I mean, this is a team that has given up their fair share who on a program where we're accustomed to seeing good front sevens. Obviously, most notably, Micah Parsons is a notable alum there. Abdul Carter got drafted in the last draft. This is normally a notable Penn State front. And it's just hasn't been to the extent that maybe we've seen in years past in this season here. So Nebraska, once again, I think the blueprint is out there. Stop the run and establish their own run game for Nebraska. And I know that's probably going to seem as very generalized takes and analysis, but I think especially with TJ Lateef, just don't overcomplicate it. Do exactly what you did in the UCLA game. You might not have the same success right off the bat with it, but that's part of this Big Ten football grind it out, tough it out type of game. It's going to be a dogfight until the end of the whistle in the fourth quarter. And there's no reason why we should look back and ever have the idea of that Nebraska went away from what was the blueprint to win this game.
Yeah, and it's just hard to even envision that unless they just really want to throw it all at TJ Lateef. I don't see him throwing 35 times this game. So I think even Dana Holgorsen was kind of getting to the point, at this point in the season, you are who you are.
Hands are tied.
You know who you are. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be every game for Nebraska. Establish the run and stop the run. That's your strength and your weakness.
Yeah. Once again, 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show today. Once again, Bach is in for AD in Galveston, Texas. He's flying back later this morning. And he will be back in the studio tomorrow and the rest of the week as we get you ready for Nebraska and Penn State 6 p.m. kickoff, if you haven't heard, on NBC. So now the final two games of the Husker regular season, they are decided on kickoff times. 6 p.m. this Saturday, 11 a.m. next Friday. With that being said, next Friday, if you are attending the Nebraska versus Iowa game, you can make sure that your child has a good time during the game as well with the help of the Lincoln Children's Museum. Game day play dates. They are available. Sign up now. You also, if you are one of the first 18 people to sign up, you can have a parking spot opportunity for an additional $20. For an additional $20, you park your car outside the Lincoln Children's Museum. It's a short walk to Memorial Stadium. And if you want to take advantage of this offer, you head online now, LincolnChildren'sMuseum.org. Even if you're offered the parking spot, you don't have to take it. It's not a end all be all, but it's an opportunity for you. $20 of parking, pretty close to the stadium as well. It's a steal for a Husker game day. Game day play dates from our friends at the Lincoln Children's Museum. Once again, visit them online, LincolnChildren'sMuseum.org today. When we come back, Nebraska men's basketball. They win a big one over the weekend. I watched it from start to finish, Bach. I'm sure you did as well. The Huskers knock off the Sooners. We dive in to Fred Hoiberg and the Husker men's basketball undefeated start as they get ready to play some more neutral site games this next weekend in Kansas City. We'll step aside. It's The Drive, brought to you by our friends over Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, 402-464-5685. We'll be back here in a few minutes on The Drive.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in November. Try their brand new fall sweet trays, including cinnamon rolls, pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, pumpkin cheesecake brownies, and apple croissants. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Allo Fiber. At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. DirecTV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Carper for O Street Carpet. For Christmas, we're doing everything possible to help you spruce up your home without making a dent in your holiday budget. If you need new wood flooring, new carpet, ceramic tile, vinyl, area rugs, or custom blinds, you want to shop at O Street Carpet. We offer 12 months same-as-cash financing, Lincoln's best selection in stock, free in-home measuring, and we'll install it right away. 1732 O Street. We want to make you a customer for life.
Mike, I've been thinking our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes. Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Starter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Tune in to Outside the Box from 4 to 5 p.m. for everything you need to know about the Lincoln Stars. Join head coach Rocky Russo and play-by-play voice Alex Fern as they sit down with special player guests to tell the story of the Lincoln Stars and give you all the news and notes you need from around the USHL. That's Outside the Box with the Lincoln Stars on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Are you familiar with everything the Lincoln Children's Museum offers? Camps, field trips, and game day playdates are just a few of the extraordinary programs provided by the Lincoln Children's Museum. When you spend a day with your family at the Lincoln Children's Museum, your child's mind can explore while enjoying the many interactive exhibits they have, while keeping admission prices extremely affordable. Stop by the Lincoln Children's Museum today in downtown Lincoln, or visit them online for more information at lincolnchildrensmuseum.org.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a slight chance of showers. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds. It'll be breezy, a high around 58. Tonight, a slight chance of showers. Otherwise, mainly cloudy skies, a low around 41. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies with a light breeze, a high near 53. I'm meteorologist Kyle Flecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now back to the drive with Aaron Davis and Nick Sainert. Sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is The Drive, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Standard alongside Jake Bachhoven here on a Monday. Hope everybody's weekend went well. 464-5685, the Honda Lincoln Hotline. The Starter Heyman text line are open for you. Bach, I went to the Lincoln Stars game on Friday night.
Nice.
It was a rivalry matchup against the Omaha Lancers on Friday. Lincoln Stars whooped that tail, though. So nice job. Shout out to Coach Rocky Russo and the rest of the Stars. The guy had one of the Stars players had a hat trick on Friday, so everybody chucked their caps out there. I did not. I was wearing my Cubby Bear Wrigleyville hat that I just bought a couple of weeks ago when I went to the Cubs game, and I thought I am not losing this hat. So everybody tossed their caps out onto the ice. I kept mine on my head, though, on Friday night just because.
Now I'm interested. What do they do with the caps? They put them back in. It's like a lost and found. Everybody come get your cap at the end of the game?
I don't know. I don't know if you're just ditching your cap. Like they all collect them. I would hope that they put it. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to. Somebody on the text line can help us out.
Yeah,
with that. I don't know if you can retrieve your cap or if you're just losing it.
Then that's strategy going to a game. Like, which cap would I be worth
100%
parting if it happens to be a hat trick?
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, but beat the Lancers. That's the as long as I've been a Stars fan, I know that's the main rival. So it's one of the best rivalries in USHL and around Lincoln. It's awesome.
I don't know if this is truthful or not. This would be a hilarious story if so. Corey says the player gets the haul and team picks through them in the locker room. I don't know if that's true. There's something, I don't know. I'm a little, maybe this is more of an indictment on me. I'm out on like sharing hats.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
there's a lot of sweat. There's a lot of just, you never know about lice with people. You never know hygiene wise.
I was going to say sharing hat. I mean, how often are you even granted that opportunity? I guess if your girlfriend wants to wear a hat or something, sure. But I get what you're saying. Like I just don't know how often it comes about. Do people trade hats?
Okay. Corey must be a part of the Stars. He says it is true. I've carried many to the locker room after multiple hat tricks over the years. All right, Corey.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if I would necessarily want.
You can wash hats, and I'd be fine with that. You get the little the parts of where you put the hat over it, keeps the formation of the hat.
That's right. Yeah, you got to buy that.
Yeah, you got to buy that part of it. So one name texter says players keep the hats and put some in their lockers. Who cares about the lice?
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
David asks, who are you hanging out with has lice? Well, David, you're one of my friends. So I guess there you go.
But you never could be, you never know.
Corey's followed up with, I worked there for 20 years. Indeed, there were many hats in the pile that nobody touched. I can't blame him there. Can't blame him one bit. One thing I will also add, as we break into Nebraska men's basketball, Bach, these are not the Doc Sadler years.
No, it is not.
Nebraska men's basketball puts up 105 points on Saturday night in a 105-99 finish over the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm trying to think of every coach beforehand is rolling right now, just going, what in the world happened to Nebraska basketball? This is the way Nebraska wins games, though, is they're going to need to score points. Maybe not the century mark every game, but man, oh man, they showed that this is the kind of their identity going forward this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you're going to hope. I mean, obviously, when you shoot above 50% from beyond the arc, it's going to be tough. I mean, Nebraska, as you mentioned earlier in this broadcast, was down. There's a portion of this game I was thinking, they're kind of sticking to it. They're staying in the game. But the concern with this team is, sometimes they might not have the athletes to keep up. So you're going to have to be hitting those threes. I mean, they just had that game against Maryland Eastern Shore. They couldn't hit anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost somewhat of a tough watch. And then you compare that to what happened here against Oklahoma, a better opponent, right? With bigger, longer athletes that can close out. And they're hitting some. So, and by some, I mean, they're absolutely on fire. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the season's going to play out. It's going to be very based on whether they're hitting those shots. But I'll tell you what, it is beautiful when it gets going because you look at like their assist to turnover ratio here, 20-5.
Yeah.
They only had 2 turnovers in the first half. And I was thinking, man, if they could just kind of keep that rolling, it's incredible. And we're seeing guys emerge. We know about Rink Mass. There's going to be different guys on different nights, I think, too, with this. Like Connor Estetien didn't necessarily play all that well or wasn't hitting his shots. Braden Frager didn't get into the mix. And we know those are guys that can put the ball in the bucket at times. So it's just going to kind of be dependent on who's going that night. But I think we're going to start seeing Price Sanford is going to be one of those guys. That was one of the best Nebraska men's basketball performances I've ever seen from an individual player in Price Sanford. And it was just beautiful because what could Oklahoma do? They're kind of stretched thin. They're guarding the perimeter because Nebraska is absolutely on fire. And then, Sanford so often got through the lanes and gotten I'd call it an easy layup because he makes it look easy in the very least. So, I mean, this team has a lot of upside, a big win over a tournament team from last year. And shout out to the crowd as well. I loved how Porter Mosier after the game said, that's not, that was basically, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was saying it was definitely a Nebraska crowd in there.
I think what's important to note about the Sanford piece that you brought up is he did it on a day where Jamarcus Lawrence in the first half was out with foul trouble, right? Like Nebraska had to figure out other ways to distribute the rock. And they struggled a little bit in the first half, sure. But I mean, Bach, they put up 61 points in the last 20 minutes of basketball. They put up 61 points in the second half. There were games. There were games a decade ago Nebraska couldn't put up 61 points in a game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is incredible to see. You mentioned the Price Sanford performance, and we'll definitely get back to that. But I also just want to point out the continued and consistent efficiency of Rienk Mast. I mean, this guy is an absolute machine. 5 of 7 again from beyond the three-point line. What that does for Nebraska, not only on the perimeter, not only in their shot-making ability, but in opening up everything else underneath when he can extract a big body defender out of the lane because you have to match up with him on the perimeter is so crucial for the success of Nebraska being able to hit shots close to the rim.
Yeah, he really is incredible. Again, he's kind of the same way as he can be even more effective if he's hitting from beyond the arc. And he was hitting from way beyond the arc in this game, 5 of 7 from deep. He is too, and I think it's partially, I was particularly excited about Sanford because he's new, right? Rienk Mast is kind of who we know is been steady, but he is going to go down, I think, as one of the greatest Nebraska basketball players of all time too. And I don't know if I'm necessarily getting ahead of myself, but you think going back to even last year, man, if they could have had a healthy Rienk Mast with Bryce Williams in his final season, certainly would have been special. But I think as that tournament team from a couple years ago kind of ages, we saw how in, like this special season Williams had last year. I think we're gonna have a special season here from Rienk Mast. You look back at that last year, a couple years ago, and think, man, you had Mast and Williams and Tominaga, and what a special team that was. So it is and aging.
This feels more stable.
This does,
like the plan of attack feels more stable than that team 2 years ago did with Casey and stuff. I think what's even crazier with Rienk, we mentioned the 3-point shot ability. The guy's shooting 54% through 4 games. 54% from beyond the 3-point line in 4 games. And a big part of that's 5 to 7, obviously on Saturday night. And yes, small sample size through 4 games. But even if that percentage stays above 40% or in the high 30s, Nebraska's going to be just fine this year. And when Rienk's not even your biggest perimeter threat, that's why you brought in Price Sanford. You bring in Price Sanford so he shoots 4 of 9 from beyond the 3-point line. He can shoot close to 40% from beyond the 3-point line. And we're not even talking about the guy that was the most effective from beyond the 3-point line last season for Nebraska in Connor Estetien. So I think through it all for Nebraska men's basketball this year, you're starting to see roles slowly become defined for Nebraska men's hoops and for Fred Hoiberg. I think we see an area, I think we're going to see a lot of it. It's, trend towards that consistent number of like, for a guy like Sam Hoiberg, obviously going to play close to 30 minutes of the game, right? And you look at a guy like Cale Jacobson, they are all in on Cale Jacobson being a crucial part of the reserve squad for Nebraska men's basketball. Connor Estetien, you're out there to shoot threes. If you're not becoming effective from there, then there's going to be another guy, whether it's Frager, whether it's even Jared Garcia, who they're different positions, sure, but still kind of the point still stands. They want shooting threats on the floor. And if you're not doing your job, they'll go find somebody that is on that bench.
Yeah, and that's what's nice. Again, it's not necessarily a shot against the season. It was just kind of that was his role last year, and if he wasn't going, they were going to hope to find it elsewhere, right? But you didn't have as many options this year. You've got options galore, and so that's the crazy thing is they scored 105 points without Essegian getting going. There's going to be games where Essegian's like 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. I mean, we've seen it. He can light up too. So it is going to be a fun year. Remember, Ugi Uravicius also going to be coming back to provide some from front court depth. He can actually shoot the three a little bit as well too. So it is going to be fun to see this team develop and see those defined roles, like you said, playing out. And I'll admit I'm not the only one, but there's plenty that would be out there thinking, if Sam Hoiberg and Kel Jacobson, not anything against them, they're just kind of small for
sure.
Big Ten basketball. If they're going to be a key part of the rotation, that might not be a winning strategy. Completely wrong. I mean,
they make it work.
Well, and they've got the team around them to do it, and so they can kind of get the gritty work done, if you want to put it that way. Sam, one of the fastest guys on the team, and they got some skills to it as well. I don't just want to look at their size and say, well, they're not big. Sam, I talk about one of my favorite players at Nebraska. Sam's got to be one. Just because he kind of fought through, being a walk-on, obviously being the coach's son, to kind of just carve out a role initially and then just watch that expand as his career has gone on, despite the fact, of course, they're bringing guys in the transfer portal, this, that. He's still fighting, finding a way. And now it's to the point where it's not that he's finding a way. He's a really, good starting player on this team that I think is going to make a tournament run.
It's really interesting because you bring up the role, the evolution of Sam Hoiberg. I asked him, I talked to Sam one-on-one at Big Ten Basketball Media Days a few weeks ago. And one of the things I asked him was like, hey, just when you look back, this is your last year, obviously, of playing hoops at Nebraska. Like, as you look back, did you see your career going this way? And he was pretty honest. He was up front in saying that when he walked on here, the expectation that he put for himself and the expectation that even his dad, Fred, put not on him necessarily, like, hey, this is your only choice, but the more popular decision would have been, he said, look, I was planning on being here, going to grind it out through practice of the first season or so, maybe play a little bit, spot minutes here, and then I was going to transition and transfer to a smaller D1 or to a D2 place.
Yeah.
That was the plan. And he said, but then the role started kind of evolving, and now here he is. We can't imagine this team without Sam Hoiberg. The minutes and the energy that he provides is incredibly valuable. And so with Nebraska men's basketball, I'll say all this. I mean, man, will they put up 100 points every night? No. But the more that they can consistently see the ball go through the hoop, the more confident I think Nebraska fans, myself included, are in saying, yeah, you know what? This is a team that can, even though they're going to be mismatched against, athletically, especially in the rebounding department, there's areas of deficiencies. Like, don't get us wrong. And they might not be exploited early in the season here, but they were not the more athletic team on Saturday. Oklahoma was longer. Oklahoma was more athletic. Oklahoma rebounded better. They just, especially at the start, like from a 1-2 standpoint, but Nebraska got it done. And when we talk about how do teams overcome deficiencies, they do their strengths really, really well, and they fully dive in to prioritizing their strengths. Nebraska's strength this season and under Fred Hoiberg is shooting the basketball. And we usually say it as a negative way of like, wow, they shot their way out of that slump. Nebraska's truly shot their way to a victory on Saturday. And then we saw the defensive intensity step up. We saw the ability for Nebraska to the help side defense, Nebraska-wise, the intensity, the speed, the urgency on defense really picked up. And I will also add this. Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska staff noticed in the first half and at halftime adjustments, just as big in basketball as we talk about in football, they noticed Oklahoma was not helping out any of their defenders. They were trying to stay on one-on-one per guy. And Nebraska continued to exploit that. They felt like they had some mismatches. Rink down in the post was extremely a massive mismatch. The inside out with Rink running the show. There's just so much that Nebraska, I think, learned about themselves and how they can win games on Saturday, playing a pretty formidable opponent in Oklahoma. This was a quad 1 win. We get so infatuated with the quad and the numbers and the wins there. This is a quad 1 win. Oklahoma, 43rd in the RPI, and it was at a neutral site game. They get another chance at some quad 1 games coming up this weekend, obviously, and potentially with New Mexico State, and then the winner or loser of Kansas State and Mississippi State. We'll see what happens. New Mexico State was a tourney team. Mississippi State is real athletic as well. And so even before they played Creighton coming up in the first week of December, there's some challenges here for Nebraska men's basketball, and they keep passing them.
Yeah. And again, we'll see. There's going to be nights when they're not hitting. Can they find other ways to score? Can they lock down on that defense? I mean, that's one thing. Yeah, Nebraska did go over the century mark, but they also gave up 99 points, right? So it was a lot. And at halftime, it was not trending in the right direction before Nebraska was able to turn that around, obviously giving up 51 points in the first half. So, there are things to improve on. There's going to be better opponents. I think Oklahoma is solid, like you're saying, in a tournament team from last year. Remember, they only won 6 conference games last year, and a little bit of a different team, obviously. Porter Moser over there with the Sooners. I expected a little bit more, but he's building that program. Like I said, tournament team last season. But it just, in a game like this, there's so many performances that you just like. Even Berke, 16 points, easy to overlook because of, you got 2 guys scoring 20, but that was big. He took advantage of some mismatches, when they kind of got squared up with a smaller guy with him. Again, Kel Jacobson, if I asked you who had the best plus minus of the game, it's Kel Jacobson. And when he was out on the court, they won, he had a plus minus of plus 15. So, and the one thing with Kale, and I thought it was funny because he got to the free throw line there at the end, is to knock down those free throws. We'll see if he can kind of improve on that throughout the year. Obviously a guy that can shoot if left wide open, preferably wouldn't, but go ahead.
On that point, I mean, Husker fans, text us in. We have a phone call I want to get to here before we get to break, but text us in. Who are you most confident in at the line? It's Sam Hoiberg for me. It is Sam Hoiberg. Above Rink Mass, above Price Sanford, above Jamarcus. It is, if the ball is on the line, is this like famous Max Kellerman quote from ESPN back when he was on First Take, is like balls at the line. The Martians have the laser beams pointed at planet Earth. Who do you want taking the free throw? Nebraska trying to close out a game. For me, it's Sam Hoiberg. That's just where I'm at. And I'm not mad if it's Rink. I'm not mad if it's Price. I'm putting Sam right up there with those guys. Let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the 402-464-5685 hotline. We've got Mike on the line. Mike, appreciate you being patient, my friend. What's on your mind?
I hope you didn't talk about this while I was on hold. I think Fred Hoiberg had as much as anything to do with winning the game. I sat 6 rows behind the Oklahoma bench, and they were more athletic than Nebraska. And Porter Moser, he made Bo Pelini look like he was calm. He is screaming. He never stopped screaming at his players. I don't know how he didn't get a technical. He was screaming at the officials. He was way out on the court where you're not supposed to be. And I look down at Fred, and he's just calm as could be. And a team reflects their coach, for good or bad. And I think he does a lot with keeping his players calm, and that's why they're able to come back from big deficits.
Sure.
And I don't know how much you, if any, talked about Price Sanford. I think right now he's the best player on the team, with Rink Mass a close second.
Yeah.
Not just for when he was at Iowa, I thought he was more of a three-point shooter. He can get inside the paint and score. He plays good defense. And I don't want to sound like the Price Sanford fan club president, but he anticipates his opponent's passes. He's great at knowing where the ball's going to bounce off a missed shot. He can really, he's a smart ball player. And the bad thing is, I looked on KenPom, and it's early. but we're still 11th in Ken Palm. The Big Ten is going to be a Bearcat this year, and we can be really big and finish 10th or 11th in the conference.
Yep.
I would like to think that'd get us in the NCAA, and it's a long season just started, but it's going to be a tough road to hoe. I'll tell you that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the phone call as always. Let's do this. Let's get to break. There's a lot that we can go into, and we'll have plenty of time for Nebraska football, but I think there's a lot of positive excitement about Nebraska men's basketball. So we can continue this conversation not only into the next break, but also into the 10 o'clock hour, Bach, because there's a lot more that I want to get to specifically with Husker hoops. I mean, you mentioned Berke, Bayuk-Dengel, and that's somebody that Nebraska fans, I heard it on Saturday in the establishment that I was watching the game in, criticize nonstop. Oh, get the ball out of his hands. He doesn't move well enough. The paper would lie. The paper tells a different story, and that Berke and the role that they have Berke in right now through the first 4 games, he's been a pretty strong piece of Nebraska moving forward. I want to get to Mike's point about the coaching demeanor of Fred Hoiberg, because I think that there's a part of it to where, yeah, if you're calm, that's a good thing, but also seeing your coach rattled up can kind of inject life into the squad as well. So I kind of want to talk about that and just Nebraska, what's ahead for the Husker Hoops squad when we come back. Let's step aside. We continue the show. Jake Bachoven along with me, Nick Sainert here on The Drive, 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Hey, Husker Nation. This is Todd Euler, 2-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Starter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at StarterHeyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Here at Aspen Builders, our company is building more homes today than I thought we would ever build.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
You know, I am just shocked at how strong our market is here in Lincoln and at Aspen Builders. We're probably helping people right now more than ever get into a new home. We've been able to find pieces of ground we can develop affordably and keep our lot prices down a little bit. I think with our volume discounts and our office staff, 35 years of experience, we figure out a plan that's going to work great for you. We make it perfect. We make it fit your price range. All of this is part of the reason we're so busy.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
The party is back on in Lincoln this fall, and there's no party like the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the whole ticket crew for 2.5 hours of pregame coverage before every home and away game this football season as they get you ready for the game. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show at our downtown studio at 11th and O. Sponsored by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Bagels & Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in November. Try their brand new fall sweet trays, including cinnamon rolls, pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, pumpkin cheesecake brownies, and apple croissants. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels & Joe. For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Now back to the drive with Aaron Davis and Nick Sainer. Sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the show, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. We will dive into plenty of Husker football when we get going here later in the 10 o'clock hour. Nick Sainer alongside Jake Bachoven. AB is back tomorrow as he is traveling back from some speaking engagements in Galveston, Texas. And so he was sending me pictures of the beach over the weekend. Yesterday, actually. Sent me some pictures of the beach and the ocean and stuff. And I said, or not the ocean, but the larger body of water that's out there. And I said, AD, that doesn't make me jealous. It's 65 degrees here. We're doing just fine. Now, granted, it's not as nice as it is down there, but it's not like it's a normal November 16th type of day for us.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Again, everything goes back to the USC Iowa game for me, but they did like the comparison of what it was in Iowa City versus LA, and it was nicer in Iowa City for the day. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's Big Ten football at its finest. Anyway, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo Cable Channel 961, all places for you guys to get in touch with the show there. I want to get to some texts right off the bat. We have some areas that we want to talk about as we continue to dissect Nebraska's 105-99 win against the Oklahoma Sooners. But once again, Corey said this on the text line: the energy and the IQ that Sam and Kale are playing with is impressive and earns them the right to be involved, especially when Nebraska is feeling slow. Dogman said this: Cale Jacobson is another overachiever that no one ever gave a chance. And that's true. I mean, really, up until last year, he would get those spot minutes at the end of the first half. They would put him in for like 2 or 3 minutes. Here he is in a notable game for Nebraska when their starting point guard in Jamarcus Lawrence is out with foul trouble. Cale Jacobson played 23 minutes on Saturday night. 23 minutes, over half the game. Cale Jacobson was a part of it. And Nebraska needed him. 10 points for Cale, 3 for 3 from the field, 1 of 1 from beyond the 3-point line. The free throw numbers a little alarming there, 3 of 6 for a guard, but ultimately Cale Jacobson, man, has played a valuable role for Nebraska basketball, and we expect him to going forward. There was one player I wanted to get to and talk a little bit more in depth about, and that's Berke Bayukdengel, because it is very apparent that when he gets the ball or he's dribbling it outside the perimeter, and sure, are there weaknesses to his game? Absolutely, right? And maybe offensively, do you wish that Berke could move a little bit better? Sure, right? There's always little details and things you can criticize. But in all seriousness, Berke Bayukdengel, if you can, as a Nebraska basketball supporter, Berke to this point this season, through 4 games, I get it, small number of attempts, averaging about 25 minutes a game. He's shooting 48% from the field. He's averaging 9.8 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. That's not asking him to do a lot. It's right in his wheelhouse. There's going to be days, I think, where Berke potentially goes off like he did against Oklahoma with 16 points, but on an efficient 5 of 7 from the field. He made the lone three-point attempt that he attempted, and he was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He got to the line. That's an avenue. That's a stat line that I think a lot of Husker fans, for as much as we criticize him, and I'm probably just as guilty of it as the next guy, but for as much as we criticize Berke for his maybe sometimes struggles offensively, to this point of the season, and especially on Saturday, he played some massive minutes for Nebraska.
Well, and I think for him, it's just going to be about, kind of awareness of where he is with this team. I think this roster that, kind of the construction, the 3-point threats left and right, he can be part of that, but he doesn't have to force it. I think that's where people got frustrated with him a little bit last year is it seemed like he was going to take, 3 or 4 threes regardless. This year he can be a little, kind of pick and choose when he's going to take those spots. And he's always going to be 6'10". So that's the other frustration is like, if you're shooting below 30% beyond the arc, which he is again this year, like you said, 1 of 1 in this game. So you can, hopefully just kind of watch him progress throughout that. And the thing is, he's got a good shot. You can see it. It just hasn't been falling in his career so far. Every year, it's 3 years now, 2 seasons plus 4 games, but in all of them, he's under 30% from beyond the arc. So, and it's one of those things, he's one, he probably drained 9 or 10 in a row at practice, all that sort of stuff. And so you just want to see him be able to take that to the game. But if it's not happening, find other ways to get involved in the game. And that's not something, you say that to Connor Essegian, it's a little harder to do. You say that to Berke Bayukdengel, okay, you got that 6'10" frame, can move well. I think that's what's frustrating for some people is just there's a lot of potential there, and it's maybe not always. Everybody gets frustrated with the kid at school. There's always one kid, right? A 6'7" guy that just wasn't interested in basketball. And you think, well, I wish I, had his opportunity, his body. And so I think there's a little bit of that from everybody's, man. If I could just kind of live one day as Berke, how much I could dominate on the basketball court. But again, he's progressing. And I think part of it too, again, I just think for him in his game, this roster that's being built around him, and especially when you kind of bring Oogie back, he can kind of fit into what's needed based on the day. And again, I think he just needs to use more of kind of his size to his advantage, especially when they get mismatched like he did in this game. And realize, at times it felt like, okay, we need a big day from Berke to win this game. You don't necessarily feel like that that pressure is going to be on him as much this year. So it can kind of come and go, but hopefully, he kind of eases into more of a role that is 10 points, 5 rebounds a game, that sort of stuff, and we'll watch him progress from there. But yeah, that's the one thing that I think is going to get him in a little bit of trouble is if he's going to continuing to kind of force threes on this team, because this team doesn't need him to do so.
You mentioned Oogie coming back, and obviously that's a big part where you're probably targeting looking close to near the first of the year for Oogie to be back for Nebraska after the back injury there. And what I would say about this is, I mean, that's a guy that can provide you some added depth and resources near the rim in terms of rebounding the basketball, an area where Nebraska's not going to be the strongest at this year, but also shoots a little bit better from beyond the three-point line statistically. Last year at Central Michigan, even before that at Cal State Bakersfield. But it's just a little bit better at shooting the three-point shot than maybe a Berkay is. Similar size, 6'11" there. But, you know, once again, you have Nebraska to where they have plenty of guys. You're not asking the ones that are mediocre at shooting the three-point shot to really rely on them to kind of, you know, supplement your offense. And that brings me to my next point, Buck, of we have to give credit where credit's due for Fred Hoiberg and his staff right now, because we're aware of the resources or lack thereof. And when I talk about resources, I mean financial investment. We're aware of where Nebraska ranks in the Big Ten, in the country, in NIL capabilities for men's basketball. And for Fred Hoiberg, who's now in his 7th season with Nebraska, for Fred Hoiberg to find a way to get the guys like Sam Hoiberg and Cale Jacobson capable of playing meaningful minutes in meaningful basketball games, and pair that with getting somebody as a Price Sanford, retaining rink mass while going out and being able to still attack the transfer portal for some pieces and high school recruiting for some pieces. We say it all the time. I say it all the time about Husker football in minimizing misses in the recruiting game. Nebraska men's basketball in these last couple of years, right? The first couple of seasons, obviously rocky, right? Very rocky. But these last couple of years, Nebraska has really hit on some guys through the portal.
Absolutely. And that's why you're seeing this, the progression of 20 games back years look like it's going to move forward. It's still crazy to me. They showed, Fred Hoiberg's career record at Nebraska. It's still pretty lopsided. And you're going, man, it feels like it's been getting better. But yeah, those first couple of years were pretty rocky. So,
yeah.
That is that. And especially go back to year one, I think they retained, just one player, Thor, from the previous staff. And then the next year, I think Thor was still the only guy retained from the previous team or close to it. So, it hasn't always been great.
That's really interesting. Let's look back at this real quick. So first year of Fred Hoiberg, Nebraska went 7-25, 2-18 in the conference.
But Cam Mack had a triple-double.
Cam Mack did have a triple-double. Then they followed it up in the COVID year. 7-20 with a 3-16 record in the conference. I mean, you're talking about commitment to a coach after in his first 2 years goes, what was this? 5-34. That's bad, man. In this day and age of college athletics, I mean, that's bad. And it's hard not to say Fred Hoiberg, Nebraska should have moved on from him, but just the way that powers that be operate, even though you don't have to have been a historic basketball program to say 5-34 is even beneath us.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, even beyond that, I think, there was the idea was, he was kind of brought in similar time frame as Scott Frost, and Scott Frost got an extended leash, and still Hoiberg was kind of fighting through even that. I mean, there was definitely a few seasons there, and it's not going to happen this year. I there's no way, right? There's not one time that Nebraska, we're going to pop up and say, well, Fred Hoiberg should be moved. I mean, you almost hear that from fan bases every year. There's no way after the last 2 seasons and where Nebraska's positioned now that should pop up this year. But I mean, it is borderline historic. I mean, I was going through numbers. I think it was maybe after this 3rd or 4th season or whatever it was, of had there been a turnaround like that? Like what is Nebraska historically fighting through to try to make this a success under Fred Hoiberg? It's tough to find too many examples of anybody that started off that poorly and ended up having success But it's happening right in front of our eyes. And again, these teams are a little bit different, over the years, kind of relying on some different guys and in different ways of getting it done. Remember a couple of years ago, it was defense. That was kind of the big thing that helped them kind of propel to that 500 record and beyond that. And now, again, now you're kind of back to the 3-point shot, which helped a lot when he was at Iowa State. So you just kind of sometimes, especially with these rosters ever changing in college basketball now, I don't know if this is an identity that they're going to move forward with. Maybe it can be, maybe not, but you have to, like you said, find the right pieces in the transfer portal to keep the program chugging along. And Price Stanford, again, looks to be that part. I mean, he averaged around 8 points per game last year, always kind of in the shadow of his brother, right? His brother was magnificent at Iowa. He had a similar trajectory to what I hope we see with Price, which is he would just kind of score a little bit more as his career went on. And he was, as Nebraska played them a few times and he let them know he's an absolute threat. He could get going from deep and really change the ball game. And now Price has a little bit of a better of a build and maybe, can ultimately be even a better player, which even going into the game, this past week, I thought that on Saturday, because I was thinking, I know we're not supposed to like Iowa players, but I did like his brother playing over there. And so I was thinking, man, it's going to be tough to live up to his brother's standards. He might surpass him. Again, he's got the build for it, and he's really coming on this year and the opportunity to take that step to the next level. Again, don't want to be hyperbolic, but you look at his play here, 28.7 assists and 0 turnovers, a steal. I mean, that was one of the best games. Again, I'll reiterate, one of the best games I've seen individually from a Husker basketball player.
I mean, so I'm looking back at the 2019, the first year of Fred Hoiberg. Nebraska lost their last 16 games of the season.
Yeah.
They lost their last 16 games of the season. Their last win came in that year, January 7th of 2020, against Iowa. They won 76-70 at home. But then they went on and they lost Northwestern, Ohio State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, Maryland, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Illinois, Ohio State, Northwestern, Michigan, Minnesota, Indiana.
DP and I always talk about it too, because we were doing some post games for some of those seasons, and those were tough. I mean,
and these were the wins. These were the games that they won. South Dakota State, they had to go to overtime against Southern. Washington State, South Florida. They did beat Purdue at home. That was the game Cam Mack had a triple-double. And then Texas A&M, Corpus Christi.
Yeah, take that, Corpus Christi.
Yeah, those were the games. Those were your wins in year one of Fred Hoiberg. Bach, trivia question here for you. Who led Nebraska in scoring this year?
Ooh, that's a good
in
question.
In 2019, excuse me.
Hanif Cheatham?
It was Hanif Cheatham, 13 points a game.
Yikes.
That was your leading scorer. Some of the players from this team, just to remind Husker fans, this is fun. Hanif was a transfer it was Marquette first and then Florida Gulf Coast. But it was Hanif and then Deshaun Burke, Cam Mack. We already talked about Thorir, Jervay Green, Kevin Cross. Cross actually had a pretty good career at Tulane.
Yeah.
Ivan Uedraogo.
Oh, yeah.
Matej Kavas, who was the transfer from Seattle University.
3-point threat.
Charlie Easley, Akol Arope, Samari Curtis. There was your Husker basketball roster. In the next year, there were 2 players that were on that team, that were on the 2019 team. Ivan Uedraogo and Thor. Elsewhere, the roster completely changed. Teddy Allen, Trey McGowens, Delano, Lat Mayan, Kobe Webster, Shamil Stevenson, Eduardo Andre, Trevor Lakes. I mean, it changed dramatically.
Yeah.
To go 7-20. Nebraska, we talked about the turnaround, and that's what we'll say here before we get out of here. The turnaround for Fred Hoiberg, 7-25 in his first year, 7-20 in year 2, 10-22 in his third year, 16-16. Then it comes around 23-11, 21-14, and now 4-0 here in 2025, 2026. I mean, you talk about the turnaround. And for those that know the limited resources and NIL opportunities there, obviously it's commendable for them to be able to figure out a way to kind of work their way through some of the challenges of a gauntlet Big Ten conference.
But I will say this too, because it was just last year after all. They were all but in the NCAA tournament and lost their last 5. Nebraska basketball is a tortured fan base.
Yes.
As you kind of went through some of those numbers there, and then I was thinking, man, thank God we got past those days. And I think just back to last year, thinking, does that happen anywhere else? Can that possibly happen?
And one thing that does benefit Nebraska, though, is what they did on the men's side of things, and they did not do on the women's side of the basketball side or conversation, is every team makes the Big Ten tournament now.
Yeah.
So with going back to Mike's phone call back in the 9 o'clock hour, discussing, hey, hopefully Big Ten's going to be a gauntlet, and it will be. But Nebraska, there's a chance that, they could be 10th in the standings and be in, not comfortably, but in the into the NCAA tournament here. And if they are able to be, let's say, 9th seed in the Big Ten conference tournament, win a game or two, you're in. Like you are just fine. And so, or even conversely, if Nebraska's 12th in the standings and we go into the conference tournament and say, okay, they got to win one. Got to win one to feel good about it. And they take care of business. There you go. It's not the opportunity. It's not like last year where you sat there and said, ooh, they're out. They're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And you're screwed. You're hoping for the best. I think the expectation this year now, okay, as much as praise as we've been giving them, there's also something to be said, Bach, about continue this trajectory. And the expectation can't be crown. It can't be NIT. It needs to be NCAA tournament. Like it's can't believe I'm saying this after 130 seasons of basketball here. It's time to win a tournament game.
That's right.
It is time. And it feels, I think there's a lot of Husker fans, myself included, that feel like Fred's the coach to do it.
Well, and there is a route too, and I know Nebraska, even the tournament teams that we've had here over the last 20 years, barely sneaking in, getting 11 seed. There is a route to do it without breathing heavily.
Without being the lower seeded team.
Right, yeah. So, and I think this team has the potential to do it. I might be buying in too much, but
yeah.
I think this, this could be a team that doesn't sneak in.
With that being said, Nebraska was 23-11, 12-8 in the conference 2 seasons ago. They were an 8 seed that year. Now, obviously, we could dive deep into it and really sink our teeth into the analytics side, the quad 1 wins, things like that. But can Nebraska in 2025 be better than in 2023? If the answer is yes, they were an 8 seed there.
Yeah.
You're right on that line of being the higher or lower seed, right? Can you be a 25-10 team this year? 25-9? Can you get to 25 wins? 25 wins feels like it could probably be a pretty high seed in the NCAA tournament. Potentially your highest you've ever had. Well, besides back in 1990 when you were the 3 seed.
Yeah, but I think too is thinking through it is that Nebraska, this team, again, they're not always going to shoot this well. They're probably going to lose a game or two that they shouldn't. But
sure,
the deal is that they've got the shooting potential to beat anybody. We saw that against BYU already. We'll see how good the Cougars are this year. But in general, I think they're going to get – I don't think the resume is going to be void of a couple big wins. And I think that's going to help them in that discussion.
Yeah, Nebraska men's basketball, you look at what they have ahead before we fully turn our attention to football. We did not expect to talk about hoops this long.
We didn't mention the fan that got thrown out.
We did not mention the fan that got thrown out.
That's all anybody was talking about on Twitter.
But so once again, the upcoming slate for Nebraska men's basketball, they will face off against the Lobos of New Mexico this Thursday night, 6 p.m. tip-off. Get those Peacock subscriptions signed up and activated, folks. It's on Peacock this weekend. They play Thursday night, 6 p.m. Tip-off for that. Did I say kick?
I might have said kickoff. Really,
yeah, 6 p.m. tip-off for Nebraska and New Mexico. That's live from Kansas City in the T-Mobile Center there. And then Friday night, they will either play if Nebraska wins, they'll play the winner. If they lose, they play the loser of Kansas State or Mississippi State. They will play at either 6 or 8:30 p.m. So realistically, 6 or 9 p.m. on Friday night. That game also on Peacock there before returning home and playing Winthrop, South Carolina, upstate, And then the big one, December 7th, Sunday afternoon against the Creighton Blue Jays at PBA. So that's the upcoming slate. What's on tap for the Huskers? 6 p.m. this Thursday against the New Mexico Lobos. New Mexico currently on the season. They are a tournament team from last year. They are coming in off of a 76-54 win against East Texas A&M, as well as a 74-56 win against UT Arlington. Nebraska will be their first true big test this season. This is a New Mexico team that actually beat Marquette in the NCAA tournament last year. They beat Marquette as a 10 seed, 75-66, but then they lost by 8 to the Michigan State Spartans in the second round of 32 there last year. All right, we'll step aside. We go to break. We come back and talk all things Husker football when we return here on The Drive on 93.7 The Ticket.
Make Hog Wild the centerpiece of your Thanksgiving feast. Pre-order a 12-pound whole smoked turkey or a 4-pound turkey breast for $55. A 4-pound boneless ham is $50. A complete meal includes your choice of a whole turkey or turkey breast, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, green beans or corn, and a dozen rolls for $130. Pre-order online at GoHogWild.com soon. Quantities are limited. All weights are approximate before cooking. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Soreja's Place Convenience Store and Biju's Best Restaurant in Lincoln salute our emergency first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and paramedics for their professionalism, commitment, and bravery. These men and women put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. First responders deserve our admiration, so thank them for everything they do for us. This from Soreja's Place Convenience Store and Biju's Best Restaurant in Lincoln, serving the best Indian soup and rice every day inside the convenience store.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
No Shave November is raising awareness of men's health and prostate cancer. Limitless Male wants you to know low T is real. Low energy, brain fog, belly fat, low libido. Your T levels matter. They affect how you function. If you have symptoms, get your testosterone checked at Limitless Male. We'll get you back in the game with more strength, energy, and confidence. When you feel good, you'll wonder why you waited so long for a free consult at Limitless Male.
This Black Friday, it is time to hit your goals before the new year even starts. At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, get 40% off our next 10-week challenge, plus 6 weeks for free to kickstart your fitness journey. Start training December 1st with kickboxing, strength training, and personalized nutrition. So when our official challenge begins January 10th, you're already ahead of the game. Spots are limited. Don't wait for January to make your resolution. Start strong now. Visit fxbeatlincoln.com or stop by one of our 2 locations at South 40th and Yankee Hill or North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Stronger starts here.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
Fall is officially here, and Brown's Shoe Fit has just the right style and comfort your feet deserve. Stop in to see a wide selection of all your favorite brands, including Brooks, Hoka, Echo, Keen, and many more. At Brown's Shoe Fit, they take the time to measure your feet to ensure proper fit. They also have the largest selection of Uggs and Hokas in Lincoln. Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Hey, Husker Nation. This is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top-quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Now back to The Drive with Aaron Davis and Nick Sainert, sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Drive 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert alongside Jake Bachoven. AD back tomorrow and the rest of the week here as he's out south in Texas right now. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are places for you guys to get in touch with the show. Thanks to Mike for his call earlier on the show. Always a great time and appreciate hearing from Mike. Mike was up in Sioux Falls in the Sanford Pentagon for that game against the Oklahoma Sooners, a game where Nebraska men's basketball wins at 105-99. They are now 4-0 on the season. If you just joined us, they will play in the Hall of Fame Classic this Thursday night, 6 p.m. tip-off against the New Mexico Lobos, and then they will play either the winner or loser of Kansas State and Mississippi State on Friday night. Both those games available on Peacock. All right, Bach. As we will get to hear from Matt Rhule in about an hour or so. He will speak to the media following Nebraska's bye week last weekend. We know Nebraska was out on the road recruiting. We also know Nebraska lost a commitment. We'll just touch on this real quick. From a 2026 prospect, interior offensive lineman Leon Noyle is no longer a part of the Nebraska class here. He's coming off of a Mississippi State visit just a couple of days ago, but decided to back off his pledge to the Huskers there. I also think that Nebraska looks at this upcoming offseason as a heavy transfer portal type of class.
Yeah, absolutely. They haven't been too highly ranked and haven't really. They have 10 guys now in the class. So yeah, I mean that's more likely how it's going to play out, and that's fine. I mean that's modern college football. You got to with those high school rankings, you got to blend them with the portal rankings, and unfortunately, you're not going to have the opportunity to do that. Until you kind of get into January. And so we have this whole kind of season. I wouldn't call it hysteria, but, some fans wondering and shouting out why Nebraska might be ranked so low.
Yeah.
Obviously, this doesn't help, but it's not close to the end of the world. We'll see what Nebraska is able to do if they want to go back and get a few more prep players, or like you said, I think this is going to be more than likely all the big name hitters are going to be from the portal this year.
Yeah, and it feels like to put a bow on the recruiting conversation here, and Nebraska's highest rated recruit this year, the highest rated commit, Danny Odom, the 6'2" defensive back, who's a top 100 player, top 80 player by a lot of sites. He shut down his recruitment earlier this weekend. So he is done taking visits. He's done talking to other schools, and he's going to sign with the Huskers that first week of December in the early signing period. I would love to also get the next time we're able to talk to TJ Lateef, which might be today, actually, because most times they make Dylan Raiola available to the media on Mondays. Now, I don't know if that same will go for TJ Lateef, simply just because he's a newer quarterback, and maybe we see Emmett Johnson, right? Who knows who we see some of the player representatives today. But I would love to have the conversation with some of these guys about the benefits that they've experienced most recently about enrolling early, right? That's the new norm across college football, and it has been for the last couple of years. TJ Lateef is a guy that did enroll early, though, and was here last winter for Nebraska. And so it's these guys that do sign in December, which is the popular time now to sign. But even if you don't join the program, a lot of these guys did. And I wonder if they can see the benefits of it. Like for a guy like TJ Lateef, getting here in December rather than getting here in May, or getting here in January, I should say, rather than getting here in May or June, how has that shaped him, those additional months, for what we're experiencing right now, getting ready to go into Penn State? So I think that's one of the conversations that'd be really interesting here to ask TJ Lateef the next time we get to talk to Nebraska's freshman quarterback there. And also to add on to the portal stuff, Nebraska, with the additional financial investment that they have made very well known that they have now, I would imagine that this is a transfer portal for actual immediate help. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a class where you get the Jacob Hoods of the world and you're saying, okay, he's going to be on the depth chart for a while. We'll see if he can pan out in 2 or 3 years. It feels like immediate help, especially in the front seven, is somewhere they're going to go after in the portal. I identify the front seven defensively as the area that they really need to attack.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, their front line is young. Are they okay with kind of those guys and how they've progressed? And probably to a degree have gotten better throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, you can never have too much bodies up there.
Yeah.
And so I could definitely see that happening. Again, I think a lot of this offseason portal talk, it's going to be so interesting how the narrative is shifted, right? Depending on where the win total Nebraska gets to, right? Nebraska can get to 9 wins by the end of the season. I mean, they've got to be one of the top destinations in the portal for a reason. They're up and coming. And they've got a lot of people coming back. But if you finish it with 7 wins, then not so much. You still can get some immediate playing time, but might not be able to get some of the top prospects to go down.
And to that point, I mean, Bach, think about the differences in what Nebraska coaches, the staff can translate to some of those guys in the portal. Of it's less of the conversation that Nebraska's had to deal with in the past of like, hey, let it help come to Lincoln and help us get to 8 or 9 wins. If Nebraska, I mean, here's the thing. Let's just say one end of the stick of Nebraska's 10-3. They beat Penn State, they beat Iowa, and they win their bowl game. Nebraska finishes with a 10-3 season. You feel pretty good about things going into another, tougher schedule next year, sure. But the conversation for the staff in the portal could certainly be, hey, we're just a piece away. Like, instead of being a piece away from 7 or 8 wins and reaching a bowl game, we're now a piece away from the playoff. And that might be a lot more, that with the financial component, obviously, might be enough to maybe draw some of the guys that they weren't able to get into the true lists and conversations with the last couple of years. I think the whole focal point of the conversation changes if Nebraska can finish this season strong. And to your point, have a 9-win type of year instead of a 7-win type of season.
And they're gonna have to do a lot of things that the program hasn't historically done, but historically, as in the last 10 or 15 years, whatever, hasn't been able to do, which is win in November, right? I mean, we're kind of counting off, well, maybe they get some wins here in November. Haven't done that. Back-to-back road games, back-to-back road conference games. We'll see that. Maybe that's why the spread is so surprising. Maybe this week, is Nebraska would have to knock that off. So I mean, that's what Matt Rhule has kind of come into this program and had to do, right? Is to beat all these demons, all these things that have been hurting Nebraska. And how refreshing would it be to finally, I mean, we're almost trained at this point to believe Nebraska just kind of wears down by the end of the year. How nice would it be to watch a team improve by the end of the year? It happens at college football, I'm telling you.
It does. I made kind of a lighthearted comment at the start of the show about how, man, Nebraska and Penn State's your NBC game this weekend. That's it normally. So Fox Big Noon's your big one, right? And then in some capacity, CBS and NBC are 2 and 3. I think it depends on the week and obviously passionate fan bases and things like that. I was kind of surprised to see that Nebraska Penn State was an NBC game. Now, at the start of the year, I would not have been surprised if you would have told me, hey, prime time, Nebraska Penn State in Happy Valley. It's going to be a 6 p.m. kickoff. I would have said, okay, perfect. That means both sides are playing really, really well, right? And there's hopefully for both teams some college football playoff implications on the line. Well, that's not the case this weekend, but man, the Big Ten slate is not very good this week. It is not very good this week. The only other so big noon kickoff goes to their favorite place, Rutgers and Ohio State. It's in Columbus.
At Big Noon Buckeyes.
They basically have just an extra spare set of equipment that just stays in Columbus, Ohio. But then the CBS game is actually where ESPN College Game Day is going to be at, and that's the USC-Oregon game. That is the only matchup this weekend that's in the Big Ten Conference between two ranked teams. Indiana's off this weekend, but USC and Oregon, CBS gets that one. Then it's Michigan State, Iowa. Michigan State's not good right now. Michigan and Maryland, after Maryland says that Mike Locksley is going to return with some significant financial investment. Illinois and Wisconsin, which normally, Bach, has your name written all over it, and it still might. But Luke
Brett
Fickell,
Bielema Bowl,
yeah, obviously. But then, so Brett Bielema returns to Madison. And then how about this game? This game is also on NBC. Or excuse me, also on NBC, Washington and UCLA. That's what this says, Washington and UCLA. So yeah, Nebraska, Penn State, in terms of notoriety, name brands, probably the top three game being played this weekend in the Big Ten Conference.
Well, and it's not just the Big Ten. I think this is the SEC week of playing nobody, basically.
Yes.
And since the top 25 is littered with SEC teams, I think there's only one top 25 matchup this week, which will be USC and Oregon. I mean, I think that is definitely the game of the week. Pittsburgh was ranked, but they lost this past weekend. Cincinnati was ranked. They lost this past weekend. So we'll see. Got to wait till the official college football playoff rankings come out. But yeah, I mean, it's not the banner week for games in college football. So college football fans might just tune it to see some historic helmets collide there with Nebraska and Penn State.
Yeah, Texas A&M's got a big one this weekend against 1-10 overall Samford.
Oh yeah, can't lose that one.
Samford comes to Kyle Field.
Think they'll be down 30-3 at halftime.
Now, okay. To that point, though, let's talk about some of the games that stood out to us this weekend. Obviously, we'll get to the Oklahoma-Bama one in a second, but how about A&M? Because South Carolina, Shane Beamer was as animated and was as pumped up as anybody going into that halftime locker room last weekend, up 30-3 at half on the road at Texas A&M. And on the day that it was leaked that, hey, Trev Alberts and Texas A&M are working on finalizing an extension for Mike Elko, on that same day, he comes back and is one of the first, if not the first, SEC team to come back and win after trailing by 27 or more. It's incredible. I mean, what a prototypical day for Texas A&M football to say, yeah, you know what? We came out horrible, but this coach, the guy that we're committing ourselves to for the next 6 years, after all the turmoil and sadness that we went through under Jimbo Fisher and under Kevin Sumlin, we're done. Mike Elko was the right hire. Nice job, Ross Bork. Nice job, right? Like, this is the guy. Here we are. We're going to the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out wonderfully for Trev over there. Texas A&M's just kind of fun, though.
In football, at least.
In football,
I was saying other sports it hasn't necessarily. Basketball, they lost their head coach. Underwhelming hire there in men's basketball after Buzz Williams went to Maryland. We forget Buzz Williams is in the Big Ten now.
That's right.
And then also the Big Ten, Big Ten baseball hire, Jim Schlossnagle leaving A&M for Texas, and then just hiring internally. And they started number one in the country to Texas A&M baseball last year, finished unranked, missed the regionals. It was really bad in year one of Michael Early.
Yeah, so he needed this football.
He needed the football,
go on the run, and it is fun. Texas A&M, we just had this conversation, or it was Lane Kiffin that brought it. I was like, I don't know how this team deserves. They should be number one. Well, it didn't look like number one necessarily the first half against South Carolina, but it is. In South Carolina is an interesting team. Lenora Sellers, everything that's kind of included there. They're 3-7 at this point, but they can give you a fight. So not to go back to the old mighty SEC and all that, but it's going to be a tough game more often than not in that conference. Even the Mississippi States, the Kentuckys, again the South Carolinas can pop up and give you a game, but they felt far from dominant. Texas A&M, of course, barely got that win against Notre Dame to start the season. Since then, as far as the SEC who's who, they haven't really played a whole lot of teams, right? But they're still kind of sliding by Auburn earlier in the season, slid by Arkansas by 3 points. Auburn, I mentioned, was by 6, and then this was the closest to defeat that they've had. But a marvelous game, biggest comeback in Texas A&M history. Their quarterback Reed threw for 439 yards as part of this comeback, so kind of showing off what they can do. Very interesting. I like the team. I like the team that isn't necessarily the best on paper. It has to win some of these close games. They maybe should win by a lot, but you feel like destiny or there's a little magic on their side. Texas A&M kind of has that this year, especially after that comeback.
9 SEC teams in the AP poll this morning when it came out. 9 SEC teams in the AP poll. It's just crazy once again. No, now Big Ten's at the top with Indiana. Or Ohio State and then Indiana, obviously. But, man, that's a top 25 littered with SEC components there. And it is fun to see Texas A&M at the top, like near the top at least. And if I'm not mistaken, Texas A&M, obviously they do have Samford this week. But how about next weekend? They travel to Austin. And it's Texas A&M against Texas. Texas obviously coming off of a matchup to where they fell last week against Georgia 35-10. Not a great showing between the hedges, but Texas A&M at Texas next weekend to finish out the season. 2 SEC teams.
That's right.
There. The Aggies and the Longhorns. All right, let's get to break. We wrap up the show. Bach and I on a Monday here on The Drive.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Is your heating system ready for cooler weather? Call Bryant to schedule your fall heating check. No matter what brand, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Acreage owner getting ready for winter? Make it easy with John Deere compact tractors and gators from Acres Equipment. Add snow blowers, front blades, cabs, heaters, and loaders to tackle every chore. Right now, in-stock units are priced to move with competitive financing to fit your budget. Get winter ready today at acres.com. Acres Equipment, your acreage handled. Financing subject to approved credit with John Deere Financial. Not all customers qualify. See dealer for details.
Comfort food, but make it vegan. At Rutabagas, they're serving all your crave-worthy classics. Mac and cheese, loaded nachos, Philly cheesesteaks, all 100% plant-powered and 100% delicious. Catch them at their cozy spot at 70th and Vine, or find their food truck rolling through the streets of Lincoln. So whether you're vegan, veg curious, or just hungry for comfort food with a twist, Rutabagas has a plate waiting for you. Find them on Instagram for their food truck location and specials. Rutabagas, where comfort meets compassion.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a slight chance of showers. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds. Be breezy, a high around 58. Tonight, a slight chance of showers. Otherwise, mainly cloudy skies, and a low around 41. And tomorrow, we'll see partly sunny skies with a light breeze, and a high near 53. I'm meteorologist Kyle Flecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Fall is officially here, and Brown's Shoe Fit has just the right style and comfort your feet deserve. Stop in to see a wide selection of all your favorite brands, including Brooks, Hoka, Echo, Keen, and many more. At Brown's Shoe Fit, they take the time to measure your feet to ensure proper fit. They also have the largest selection of Uggs and Hokas in Lincoln. Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q.
This Black Friday, it is time to hit your goals before the new year even starts. At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, get 40% off our next 10-week challenge, plus 6 weeks for free to kickstart your fitness journey. Start training December 1st with kickboxing, strength training, and personalized nutrition. So when our official challenge begins January 10th, you're already ahead of the game. Spots are limited. Don't wait for January to make your resolution. Start strong now. Visit fxbeatlincoln.com or stop by one of our 2 locations at South 40th and Yankee Hill or North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Stronger starts here.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. From now through the end of November, Ferndale fresh turkeys are just $3.99 per pound and in limited stock, perfect for your holiday meals. Plus, you can stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. With locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha, get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Did you know that deer collisions are covered under the comprehensive portion of your car insurance? That means, like with hail damage or vandalism, since they are out of your control, they don't usually raise your insurance rates. And that's a good thing, since most deer don't carry liability insurance. At Eustace Body Shop, we fixed all kinds of animal collision damage, from cows to raccoons, bobcats, and even turkeys. We can't do much for the animal, but we can get your car back on all fours and looking like new again.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out the all-new Epic Effects. Epic Effects is designed to blast body fat, curb cravings, and provide the smooth energy to get you through the day. Home of free samples and better than internet pricing, Epic Effects can only be found at Nutrition Authority. For store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
What's it take to be a mentor with big brothers, big sisters? It takes 30 minutes and a cup of coffee. A video game, best 2 out of 3. It takes sharing thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, and loaded nachos at halftime. That's how you make an impact on a young kid's life. So go on, share a few hours a month, because mentorship may sound huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big. To learn more, volunteer, or donate, go to BeBigNow.org.
Now back to The Drive with Aaron Davis and Nick Sainer, sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in one final time on a Monday. Nick Sainer alongside Bach. Bach, thank you for hanging out with me today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always fun to be on The Drive.
Really, really good stuff today. If you miss any of the show, make sure you check it out on the podcast page, theticketfm.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can always just go onto the video stream as well and just rewind if you prefer to see the video component of it. Just a reminder, 402-464-5685, Honda Lincoln Hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line open for you guys throughout the rest of the day on the various programs here on 93.7 The Ticket. Appreciate we get this one from Cubsker. Is there a chance Nebraska can finish in the top 25 if they win out? Bach, does a win against Penn State and Iowa get Nebraska into having a little number next to their name?
I think it would. A 9-3 Big Ten team would be hard to keep out. Right now, you look at the coaches poll. They didn't show up in the Associated Press, but 12 votes in the coaches poll. Again, a victory against Penn State is going to rocket them. But yeah, I mean, I think they could definitely start to make some hay, especially a victory over Iowa. As long as Iowa takes care of business, I think they got Michigan State this week. Then a victory against Iowa could help propel them in there. Again, we know Nebraska's schedule might not be the most difficult across the country, but a 9-3 Big Ten team's got to be in.
How about this? Bowl projections after last weekend's bye week. Nebraska, according to ESPN, projected to land on a day Wednesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve.
Okay, yeah.
Wednesday, December 31st. The SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl.
There we go.
Nebraska.
Going to Vegas.
Both experts, I guess, both journalists that put this together have Nebraska there going against Utah. Nebraska versus Utah. Whew.
That'd be punching up right now. Utah's a pretty good program.
Utah is a very good program. So we'll see what happens. I think if Nebraska wins out, we could see them in the potential ReliaQuest Bowl at Raymond James Stadium. And you're probably playing somebody as close to maybe a Texas, maybe a Tennessee. Missouri is a possibility there as well. So there's a couple of different options there. But yeah, so I think it goes in the order of, I would say in this order, we kind of have an idea of Nebraska is going to either go to Vegas, Nashville, or Tampa for their bowl game. And if we wanted to seed those in order of most respectable to, or excuse me, rather least respectable to most respectable, it'd probably be Las Vegas, Music City Bowl, and then the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, Florida. So that's kind of the ladder that Nebraska's trying to climb. Now, the top of the top, the creme de la creme, Tampa. Go in the middle ground and go to Nashville. Sure. Vegas is fine. You're going to get Nebraska fans to travel anywhere. So it'd be a little bit more of a, Nebraska's a very appealing school for some of these bowl committees to choose.
Well, it's interesting also to see kind of who's at the bottom of this thing. If, teams still looking for bowl eligibility that way, put it that way. Penn State definitely could be if they get a win. You look at teams stuck at 5 wins right now. Northwestern is in that conversation. Minnesota's already in. They've got 6 wins. But it would be interesting to see too.
How about Northwestern?
Yeah, Northwestern's there at 5-5. Rutgers at 5-5.
Yeah.
So those are the teams that we're going to see probably take up the.
Talk about Rutgers. How about this? Rutgers next week has Penn State.
That's right.
So Rutgers probably won't win this week against Ohio State.
No.
But if Penn State beats Nebraska, that's 2 5-win teams fighting for bowl eligibility next weekend between Rutgers and Penn State.
And so likely it would be somebody's going to Detroit,
That's
on
right.
the line, either going to Detroit or to the Pinstripe Bowl. So
yeah,
that would be entertaining. But I am interested to see, like, Minnesota, if they close out with a couple wins, if they will be picked in the pecking order above Nebraska. I would not think so.
Probably not.
Because of the fan travel and all of that. But they have the head-to-head.
They do have the head-to-head, as we needed to be reminded of that fateful Friday night up in Minneapolis. It was extraordinary. Great to be there. Anyway, that is it for us. We can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with us the last 2 hours. A reminder, Aaron Davis, AD, back tomorrow as he makes his way back from Galveston, Texas there. But he's back the rest of the week, and we have plenty of stuff to get on. Conversations about the Lions lost last night after a horrendous defensive pass interference call didn't give them a chance to get the ball back. The Steelers whooped the Bengals. We'll talk about all that and more. We'll also hear from Matt Rule here in about 30 minutes or so. So full reaction coming on tomorrow's show. Stick around. One-on-one with DP and Bach coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
At Parkview